Hi and welcome to this video where we're going to look at the topic of piping in the QPSMR Companion. By piping I mean the business of where you want to pull through some text from a previous question so that it can be used in the question that you're about to ask. So let's look at 2 or 3 examples of that and see just how it works. So if we look at question 2 here, which I have highlighted, the first thing I'm going to show you is what's in that question. It's an integer and it asks how many kilometres each week the respondent cycles. And what I want to do now is add a question after that that says, do you consider that number of kilometres to be good exercise? So I want to pull in the exact number of kilometres that are entered so I can use that in the question text. So let's insert a new question. We'll call it Q2A. Alright, so we're now saying, do you consider the number of kilometres given at Q2 using that syntax of square bracket, Q2 square bracket, kilometres a week to be good exercise? We can now go to the responses, type in our responses as yes, maybe, and no. Click OK. And now we've got that question in there. And we can test that entry works well, so let's just highlight the first 3 questions here and just test that. Oops, I just need to save it first. Test that. Go on through, and in test mode I own a bicycle, yes, and let's put 50 kilometres here, and it's going to put into the next question, do you consider 50 kilometres per week to be good exercise? And so it's pulling through that 50 from the previous question. And you can do the same with responses to a particular question. So question 6 asks how they rate Cycling Monthly magazine. So here's the answers, very interesting to very boring. And let's say we want an open-ended question after that. So I'm going to insert another question, Q6A. I'm going to make it open-ended, so that's a verbatim text. Why do you consider Cycling Monthly to be, and I'm just going to pull in the answer they gave at question 6. And then that's gone into the questionnaire, and if I want to just test that, I can highlight those 2 questions. And again, I have to save it. Here we go, and let's say we pick it to be very interesting, and you can see the word very interesting gets pulled through to say, why do you consider Cycling Monthly to be very interesting? And of course that could be a favourite brand that you're pulling through or something like that as well. Alright, now the other thing you can do is that you can do some clever testing of data as it's being entered as well. So here I've got a series of questions. Ask the percentage of their cycling that's for leisure, the percentage for getting to work, and the percentage for some other reason. So I think we can assume that that should add to 100%. So on data entry we could check that figure is 100%, and the way we do that would be to specify a variable. So I'm going to call that variable Q8 total. It's going to be an integer. And the definition of that, I'm going to make QAA plus QAB plus QAC. There is a separate video on defining variables, so I'm not going to cover that in any more detail at this stage. But there we've done the sum of those. I haven't bothered giving it a title. It won't appear at data entry because it's a variable. But what I can do now is I can insert a filter entry which is called hold Q8, and you can see I can use this checkbox here which is hold if true. So I want to hold if VQ8 total is not 100. So what that's going to do for me is at data entry, if that total isn't 100, it's going to hold the interview for me. So I can save that now. Let's test this block of questions. answers, select test data entry. Here we go. Let's put in the first one as 50%, the second one as 20, and the last one as 30, and you can see it passes through perfectly well. But if I put in something that doesn't add to 100, let's go for 40, 40 and 30, so I've now got 110. You can see that I've got a problem here now because it's saying the total is not 100. My total here is 110, and they're the values that I've got, 40, 40 and 30. So now I can either ignore this as a problem, or I can go back and correct it, and indeed I could go back here, make it 20, continue, and now it's got through data entry. So that's another way of using piping to give you information while you're doing data entry or collecting data. So that completes this short video on piping. I hope it was of use to you.